On this week's episode of Caught, presented by Catfish, we dive into perhaps one of the most bizarre and intricate catfish scams executed. The story is about a strange catfish love triangle between a larger-than-life NBA personality from Denver, a rising teenage model in California, and a small Canadian native with a 6th grade knowledge. The story begins in 2011. Paris Dunn, a teenage model, receives a message from a professional basketball player known as Chris Birdman Anderson, thinking it was in a response to a message she had left him at an earlier date. They immediately started talking to one another, and the relationship began moving fast. Chris and Paris started exchanging nude photographs and planning trips for her to go visit him in Denver. Around the same time, Paris started receiving messages from Tom Taylor, the best friend of Chris, stating how Chris talked about her a lot. During their trip together, they both had a great time, filled with new adventures, romance, and Tom. One thing that struck them both as strange was some of the things that they were saying to each other wasn't really adding up. For example, Paris had made a statement about how Tom had messaged her, in which Chris replied, "I don't know a Tom."
"You told me you brought a lot of Victoria's Secret stuff to wear for me." And I said, "No, I didn't." And then he was like, "When is your trip to Africa?" And I was like, "Not going on any trip. Like, what are you talking about?"
Shrugging off some of the inconsistencies, they continued with their weekend getaway. Upon Paris's return to California, she had posted how she was going to meet with Blake Griffin, another NBA basketball player. Immediately after, she had received nasty text messages from Tom, saying that she was going to end up in a ditch, raped, and murdered.
He said that he was going to send somebody down there, and he was going to have me raped and murdered and thrown on the side of the street.
Just because you were going to see Blake
Just because
Griffin?
I was going to see Blake. Something just went.
Tom then told Paris that Birdman had sent the nude photos to him and that he was going to be posting those photos online. Fast forward to February of 2012.
It's an email supposedly from Paris Dunn's mother, telling Anderson that spending the weekend with her daughter was a huge crime because Paris is underage, barely 17. That's news to Anderson. She's threatening to ruin Anderson's life and career unless he pays thousands of dollars.
Chris hands over the email to his attorney and states that he was under the impression that Paris was only 21 years of age. His attorney then sends $3,000 to a PayPal account to make sure the issue goes away. Back in California, Paris was feeling very uneasy with all the threats and constant harassment, so she decides to get police involvement. Once Paris had told her story, the police immediately got involved. Just a few months after Chris received that strange email, he was pulled over by local authorities and detained. His home was raided and all of his electronics were taken for evidence. After much scrutiny, the police then noticed something that was very strange. All of the communication between Chris and Paris were not being sent to their IP addresses, but rather an address linked to a remote area in Canada called Easterville. After they investigated further, they found that Paris and Chris had both been catfished by Shelley Cartier, the ghost of Easterville, a 33-year-old Canadian woman with a lot of time on her hands when she's not taking care of her mother. Shelley was then arrested and served 12 months in jail for charges of child pornography, impersonation, and extortion. When she was asked why she did it and if she realized that she was hurting innocent people, her response was, "No, because I'm stupid."
I just thought, oh, I just catfished that guy and that's all. But it wasn't. It was so much more than that, and that's what I wasn't getting at the time. I was stupid, I was bored, I was lonely. That's the truth.
And so concludes the most infamous catfish love triangle. If you want to read more into the story, please visit us on socialcatfish.com/blog or hit the link in the description. Also, comment in the comment section down below if you want to hear more stories like this. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell to be notified when the next Caught by Catfish episode goes live.